The new year is such an exciting time to have that fresh start, make a vision board, write out your goals, really visualize the person that you want to become, the things that you want to do. It's such an activating time, but how many times have you done all of those things and December rolls around and you feel like there's so much more you wish you could have done, or not much has changed, you're still dealing with the same issues, and you're wondering where the year went? Every new year, I do the whole 9 yards, the vision board, the goals, the visualizations. I get really so excited, and I've been able to see a lot of growth in myself and in my life every single year, but nothing compares to the growth that I've seen in myself, in my life, in the shifts that I'm experiencing that 2025 was able to do for me. And so obviously there's so many things that I could sit down and talk to you about in this video, but I wanted to remove all of the fluff and really only talk about the things, the habit, the mindset shifts that actually changed my life in 2025 to have me feel like I'm in a place starting 2026, not feeling like I need to start over or feeling rushed in any way. I just now have more of the blueprint of what I did in 2025 that actually worked, actually transformed my life, allowed me to hit so many goals this year, and just take all of that into 2026 and continue doing what I'm doing what I know works. So if you want a lot for yourself this year, if you have big dreams, big goals, if you want to be able to watch yourself transform into the person that you know that you are, the person that you know you can be, the person that you see in your mind, I'm going to go through the 5 lessons or tips that through practicing for an entire year has able to transform me into the person that I am today. And I really don't think I would be who I am today, the person that I am, the mindset that I have, the things that I've accomplished without these 5 things. Again, I could probably talk about a million things, but I just really want to focus on removing the fluff. I could obviously sit here and tell you to start a vision board and write down all your goals and affirmations, but that's almost like the surface level and the fun part. And today I really want to dive deeper and talk about all the real practices and habits that I've cultivated this year, that I've actually practiced this year, or I guess last year in 2025, to be who I am today. So hi everyone, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Sky. This is the Spiritual Businesswoman podcast where I help you grow personally and professionally. And it has been a while since I've sat down and recorded a podcast. I am not going to jump into it too much in this video. I have a lot that I already want to talk about, but I do feel like I probably owe some kind of life update. If you have been following my vlogs or following me on Instagram, you know that a lot has changed for me this year. When I was reflecting back on 2025 to write this episode, it was pretty crazy to realize that almost everything in my life has changed. I moved to California. Who I am as a person has changed and evolved so much. My relationship evolved, my career evolved. There really is nothing in my life currently that stayed the same. Almost everything changed. And it's pretty crazy because sometimes you don't realize what actually caused certain shifts or transformations in your life until you sit down and write it down and really think about it and look at it for what it is. Because when I sat down to reflect on my year and really, pinpoint all of the things that I wanted to talk about today, I had a different idea in my head as to what I thought it was, or thought the things that I did were. But when I actually sat down to write it out, I realized there was a ton more happening like under the surface. And I also know that there are a ton of these videos going out right now. There's a lot of amazing information out there. I definitely sat down and watched a few reset for 2026, how to make 2026 your year videos. And there's a lot of really good information out there. But the reason I did that research, I guess, is to see how I can fill the gaps in any way that I can, or offer any kind of new information, or maybe the same information, but in a different way through my personal experiences, and, kind of allowing you to walk away from this video with as much value as you possibly can, and honestly, maybe some homework. So let's dive right into it. I also want to mention that I have turned this podcast, I guess, into a guide. I've been working on it for the past few weeks. I'm really, really proud of it, and I've created more of a workbook so that, you can listen to this podcast, you can take in all this information, but if this resonates, if it was helpful, I highly recommend you go and get the workbook that I created. At the same time as I made this podcast, there are a ton of journal prompts and honestly homework for you to take everything that we are going to talk about today and put it into practice. It's all customizable to your life, your goals, everything that you're trying to achieve. So I will have that linked somewhere, probably in the description of this video, in my Instagram bio. I don't know how to link things on podcasts. I think I'll probably figure that out. But anyways, so jumping into my 5 transformation pillars, tips, lessons, I really don't know what to call these, but starting with number 1, which I'm calling acknowledge, dissect, and release. One thing that I noticed come up in a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos that I was watching was, people saying to write everything down that you want to let go of, right? Like, habits that you have or things about you that you might not like that you want to let go of in 2026, which I think is really good advice. But again, it is so much easier said than done to look at all these things you want to change, write it down. But if you don't really look at them, if you don't sit down and understand why you're this way and get to the root, it's going to be a lot harder to let it go because it's too entangled. It's maybe been how you've been for who knows how long. And if you haven't been able to actually let it go and be different, then it's a little bit of a mystery. And just writing it down isn't really gonna make it disappear because you cannot transform your life if you don't look at it honestly. So real transformation starts with truth, with looking at things honestly and being able to say, this is where I am. This is what I'm currently carrying, and this is mine to heal. Really looking at it and acknowledging it. You need to bring it to the top of your awareness. Be honest with yourself, write it down, but again, that is really just step 1. And I'll take you through a personal example that I was able to heal this year that is something that I have carried with me for as long as I can remember. I've definitely done the first step before, which is looking at it honestly, which is acknowledging it. And that is that I have gotten feedback that I am distant from very, very close people in my life. And, that I don't reach out enough, I don't text, I don't call. And I've known this about myself. I've acknowledged this before, years ago, but that's as far as I went with it. I just acknowledged it. And when you stop there, it is so easy to make excuses or to say that that's just how you are. You've always been this way, whatever it is. And even though it didn't feel right, it didn't resonate. Like, I'm someone who loves so deeply. I have such amazing people in my life that I'm so grateful for. And to have this come up multiple times, it never felt well. I didn't want to be that person, but by just acknowledging it, and, apologizing, it was so easy to just sit with the fact that that's how I am. I'm not really a big texter or caller. I'm thinking about you often, but I'm just not the type of person to reach out, but, I'll try to be better, whatever. And I wasn't being better. And this was just a constant coming up in my life with, again, people that I genuinely love with my entire heart. And so this year I decided to finally sit with it. And again, this is where the magic happens because our brains tell us the craziest things and we just believe it every single time, unless we really rip it open and look at what is beneath it. And so I acknowledged that I was distant, that I was a distant person. I didn't like it, it didn't feel good. And again, all the excuses of why I'm that way kept coming up, but I decided to dissect it, which is really just journaling. I mean, you can daydream, you can think about it, you can, go through it in your own mind. I sat down and wrote it out. And again, it started with all the excuses of I've just never been that way. I don't really care about this and that, whatever. I kept going down the list until finally the truth came out. And I kind of just had to keep asking myself, yeah, but why? But why? And you'll see things come up that you don't realize. And long story short, I was able to come to the conclusion that I don't want to be a burden on anyone. And by texting them or calling them, it's as if I'm putting it on them to then have to reach back out to me. And by doing that, I'm being a burden in some way. The second I realized that, the second that truth came out, which is, the core as to why I'm distant, it separated it from me. Because I was able to look at, I think that I'm a burden, and realize that that is not true. I don't know where I picked that up. I don't know who told me to be that way, or, I don't know why I accepted that as my truth, but once I looked at it, I was able to see that it was not my truth. I don't believe that. I don't think I'm a burden. Because I also don't think it's a burden when people reach out to me or want to talk to me or text or call me. I also know how much my people want me to reach out to them. I know, like, my truth is that is not true. I am not a burden. And so once I dissected it, it created that distance. Because that did not align. That didn't make sense anymore. That wasn't mine anymore. It was separate from me. And when something is separate from you, you can let it go. You can release it. Versus if I just wrote down, I want to let go, or I want to, be less distant. It's too much of a mystery, and I resonate with the fact that I just don't like to reach out or text or call. That, for whatever reason, felt like the truth because I didn't allow myself to go deeper. Going deeper, realizing I thought doing that was making me out to be a burden, immediate disconnect. You can't let go of things that still feel like they're a part of you. That, the excuses that you make in your brain, which are very easy to fall for, feel like they make sense. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And so it's you. It's entangled in you. It's a mystery. You don't really know why, but you're this way. It doesn't really resonate, it doesn't feel good, but it's too much of you. Sitting down and dissecting, literally as if you're dissecting yourself. You are taking it out of yourself and you're looking at it. You realize it doesn't resonate. It is not you. It doesn't belong. That is when actually releasing works. Letting go works. And because now when I noticed myself not reaching out or whatever, I was able to see, like, I'm not being a burden right now. If I wanted to text someone or call someone, but then I had the thought of, oh, you're a burden come up. I was like, no, I'm not. It was so clear. You just have that visibility, that clarity. And then it's so much easier to be the way you want to be the opposite of this thing. And this year I have been able to just be more present in my friends and family's lives, reach out more, call, text. I am constantly texting everyone in my life that I love, and I've always wanted to be this way. But again, it's like I had these excuses that it's not really who I am, blah, blah, blah. And there's so many ways to use this practice that doesn't always, result in finding some deep-rooted trauma deep in your subconscious. Sometimes it's just present growing pains. And another example where I used this practice is in my career. In my company, I have a leadership role and I work with a lot of other leaders, and it's something that I've always wanted. It's something that I see myself as, and I've always told myself, I am going to be a leader, I'm going to be an expert in my field, and I really put a lot of time into developing those skills. Also just being what I think a leader is. And I had an example in my job where I felt as though another leader that I work with was coming in and stepping on my toes, was taking ownership and, showing up as honestly a leader. And I went straight into victim mode. It was so much easier to just be like, this person is stepping on my toes and doing this, and this is not fair and whatever, and making all of these excuses, honestly playing the victim, which is never a place I like to be in. I never really stay there long, which is something that I'm grateful for. But it actually took me a few days to acknowledge the fact that maybe I'm not the best leader, that I think I am. Maybe I'm not the leader that I think I am. Maybe there's ways that I can be better. And by dissecting it, I didn't get to a place where, I realized somewhere in my childhood where someone told me I wasn't enough and that's why I didn't think I was a leader. It wasn't that deep. Through dissecting it, I realized I had just never seen an example in my life of true ownership. The way this person was coming in and just doing things so effortlessly, being an owner, being a leader so effortlessly, when here I was trying to put so much effort. I had just never seen it before. And, you know, if all I know is I'm a good leader and I haven't seen, you know, any other examples, maybe even examples, you know, to look up to, then it's easy and it feels better to your brain to just, you know, play the victim and think that this is an issue versus looking at the growth opportunity there. And so I was able to shift quicker than I ever have in my entire life as soon as I was able to acknowledge what was actually happening, step out of victimhood, dissect it, realize there was a huge growth opportunity right in front of me, and I'm so grateful for. And she knows this if you're watching. I'm so grateful for her and the way that she came in, because she showed me in so many ways that I've never seen before what true ownership looked like, what a true leader looked like, and I realized how much I could learn from this person. And so acknowledging that I wasn't the leader that I thought I was, dissecting it, realizing that growth opportunity, realizing this new example I had to look up to and to learn from, allowed me to so easily let go of the pain that was, you know, sitting beneath, that made me feel inferior, or that I, you know, wasn't a good leader, or all the negative thoughts that were coming in, playing the victim, blaming this person, releasing it, actually letting go and stepping into more authority in my role was the benefit of actually sitting down and doing this practice. Again, sometimes it's not super deep and subconscious, sometimes it is, but sitting down, acknowledging the things that you don't like about yourself, the things that keep coming up, dissecting them, understanding why, being so honest with yourself, like remove yourself from the situation, just look at it, write about it, think about where it came from. So many things that you're holding on to that you don't like about yourself aren't even yours, and that's why you don't like them. That's why you don't resonate with them. If you're a certain way that doesn't resonate, that doesn't feel good, that is a clear indicator that it is not yours to begin with. It was never yours. You're holding on to it. You're letting it affect the way you move through this world, but it's not even yours. And when you acknowledge these things, when you really look at them and you let them go, the way you open up so much more space to be someone that feels better, to be someone that resonates more, to love who you are more, to show up in a way that feels aligned. If you don't acknowledge, dissect, and release, you are limiting yourself from experiencing that, from being that person. Imagine you without those things. But it's tough. It's not easy. Again, it's something that came up a lot when I was looking at other videos, you know, write down all the things you want to let go of and then jump into your vision board and what you want to bring in. It's so much deeper than that. It's hard to heal what you don't understand. And it's very personal. And it's very hard. It's hard to acknowledge that you're aggressive with the people in your life that you love most. You have a short temper. You don't trust yourself. Like, there's a lot that comes up when you acknowledge these things. It's hard to do so, but you need to bring it to the light. You need to look at it, and through dissecting it, you are going to find yourself feeling more removed from it versus just, oh, I don't like this thing about me. I want to let that go in 2025 and not be that way in 2026. Like, that is so much easier said than done. And it's kind of bypassing it a little bit. This is something that I've done for as long as I can remember, but every year there's new layers. You know, I'm a new version of myself. I honestly have new understanding, new awareness, new strength to attack even deeper, more subconscious things, or, you know, have things come up, like the example at work, and be able to shift through it as quickly as I can. It's because of doing this over and over and over. I'm never gonna be okay with not being my best self. You know, as soon as I feel things come up, I want to attack them. I want to acknowledge them, dissect them, and release them because of who I get to be afterwards, who I get to meet afterwards. Meeting yourself over and over again without this baggage, without these negative thoughts, without these beliefs. It's the whole point. And again, I can jump into example after example, but if you have big dreams, if you have an idea of who you want to be and you're not there yet, there is a lot that you're going to have to let go of because it's fogging your view. It's fogging your perception. It's getting in the way of your next big promotion. It's getting in the way of your relationships. It's getting in the way of the love and connection you have for yourself. And so it's tough work, but being able to sit with the person that I am today, there's just no way I would be able to meet her without all of that deep work that I did this year or last year. And again, there's a whole step-by-step of how to do this for you and your life in my guide in the workbook, so definitely go check that out if you want to get serious about acknowledging, dissecting, and releasing this year. Okay, tip number 2 is let yourself be challenged often. I don't know if you relate, but I am someone, again, with a lot of dreams and goals. There's a lot of things that I want to do, that I want to accomplish, yet my daily routines and habits weren't really aligning with that, because nothing changes if nothing changes. And I think I hit a point in 2025 where really I was like, enough's enough. I need to get serious. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. And I'm not saying to be uncomfortable all the time, but I really looked at my life, all the aspects of my life, and I saw how I was getting comfortable, where I was settling, staying, in my comfort zone, and how that was negatively affecting my life. Like, I had health and fitness goals, yet I was being very comfortable with my routine, very chill with my diet, like not really doing anything. If I wanted something, I would eat it. If I didn't want to do a workout, I would not do it. Or even just do a very chill workout, not really push myself. In my work, I wanted to grow, be a leader, get a promotion, evolve, but I was kind of just doing the bare minimum, what I had to do. So many things, like so many examples. What was happening is I was starting to lose trust in myself. I was starting to lose confidence. I felt so far away from my goals, and even had a few thoughts of, why do I even have these goals? Like, I can't do this. Like, these are my limits. This is as far as I can go. I've been saying I want this for months and months or years, but here I am still in the same place. Like, I just can't do it. This is where I am. But what I realized was every time that I proved to my nervous system that, I could hold more, every time I was slowly pushing my limits, my reality expanded. Again, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you have big dreams, goals for 2026, you are going to need to be uncomfortable many times. Like, that's also just the harsh truth of it. You're gonna need to be uncomfortable. You need to look at your life, look at all the things that you want to change. Maybe it's your career, your relationship, your health, whatever it is, just your routines, your life. Where can you push the limits? Where can you be challenged? If you go through an entire week and nothing was challenging, how do you expect anything to change? Really? Nothing, not a single thing was challenging that week. I really started to let myself thrive in discomfort. Anytime I felt uncomfortable, anytime I bit off more than I can chew, yes, it was hard. Yes, I doubted myself. Yes, it felt scary. But again, I was aware of what I was doing. I knew that staying comfortable had me stuck where I was. That's where I was. Nothing was changing. There's two options. Stay where you are, stay comfortable, or be uncomfortable and change. And I already was on this path. I was already on the comfort path. I already knew what that brought. I already knew what that was doing. I already saw how that was keeping me stuck, and how I was settling, and how I was starting to lose confidence in myself, in my goals, in life, like losing that spark. And so the price of comfort is so fucking expensive. Knowing that the only way I was going to get to the next phase of my life, reach the goals that I had, was by being uncomfortable. And so again, anytime I felt that discomfort, anytime I was pushing myself harder, in my fitness routine or at work and staring at my computer screen till 1 a.m., getting work and side projects done and feeling that pain, feeling that discomfort, being tired, wanting to go to bed, wanting to eat bad, wanting to just self-sabotage, like feeling all of that, sitting in all of it, I was thriving in it. I spent so much time being uncomfortable this year, and I loved it, honestly, because I knew it was path 2. Again, I did path 1. I did the comfort zone. I did the settling. I'm now not feeling that anymore. I'm now so uncomfortable. I'm now challenging myself every single week. I'm on this path now, and I'm gonna explore that, and I haven't been here. In doing that, I also realized things happen so much faster than you realize. It's actually crazy how much a little bit of consistency and, discipline and being challenged can do for you. I have never in my life felt more confident in my body, in myself, in my skin, in my career, in my relationship. I can't tell you how much everything has shifted in a positive way because of the discomfort that I allowed myself to feel in 2025, because of all of the times that I challenged myself, that I pushed my limits and expanded my reality, expanded what was possible for me. You can't do that in your comfort zone. If you are not challenging yourself in the areas of your life that you want to grow, like, what do you expect? I don't know if this will work for you, but it worked for me. There's two paths, right? There's the comfort path and the discomfort path. If you're comfortable, if everything is comfortable, if you're not pushing your limits, if things are staying the same, you know what path you're on. If things are hard, if things feel hard, if you are being pushed into situations where you feel like you're underqualified, if you're being pushed into situations where you feel like you can't do it, like you don't know how you got here, again, hopefully in a positive way, hopefully towards the things that you want, the growth that you want, feel comfortable in that. Feel comfortable in that discomfort. Being challenged is so powerful because as you're going through it, of course it's tough. But then looking back and seeing how far you've come, like even in my career, for example, me a year ago could not imagine what I do now and how confident I feel doing what I do now, and the thoughts that I have and the leader that I am, all of it. Like she would be mind blown, absolutely mind blown in my body and my health, how I look, how I feel. She would be mind blown in my relationship. I mean, my relationship's always been very healthy, but it's just so much better. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would have it. The confidence I have in myself to do hard things has skyrocketed. Again, I used to try to avoid hard things. I used to just have these goals and dreams of what I wanted and try to find the easy way out, but that doesn't exist. At least not for me. Where in your life are you comfortable? Where are you staying small? How can you start to introduce challenges in your life? I think also with social media, seeing people online, or even just seeing the people that you look up to or people that are doing things that inspire you, you'll find that when you start to do those things, it is challenging. It is hard. And personally, really stepping up in my career, in my fitness, social media, all of the things that I do, all the things that I'm putting my time into, it has allowed me to have such bigger respect for the people that I look up to, for the people that I thought kind of had like an easy life because they had the life that I wanted. It is so far from easy. Again, not everyone has the same goals and dreams, but to change a reality, to grow, to be a different person, to know more, all of that is outside of your comfort zone, and it doesn't mean you need to absolutely struggle and hate your life, but it is not in what you know. Because if it was, you would have it, you would know it, you would do it, right? It is outside. You need to expand your reality. The only way to do that is through discomfort, going into the unknown, feeling challenged. Feeling challenged literally like pushes your limits out, lets you see and create and experience more. If you don't want 2026 to end and feel the exact same as you do right now, you are going to need to push your limits and feel that challenge. Bring the challenge on. If you want a promotion at work, if you want to expand in your career, if you want to change your career, anything, like take that leap, feel challenge. Start something on the side after work that is going to help you gain the skills to shift your career, or start the business, start now after work. Instead of relaxing, watching Netflix, doing the easy comfort thing, put hours into your business. Put time into it. Feel challenged. Feel tired. If you want to change your body, sign up for a gym membership. If you're already working out and you feel like you're just kind of like in this place, like that was me. I was working out, I was eating okay, but my body wasn't changing. Add more challenges to your diet, to your fitness, to your morning routine. Wake up earlier, find the time, feel that discomfort. Listen to that alarm, feel that discomfort, want to stay in bed, get out of bed anyways. Be working late, whatever it is, want to go to bed, feel that discomfort, stay up, work on it anyways. If you want new, you need to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And if you're anything like me, when you start to get in the groove of doing that and seeing the results, the confidence that the results give you, it makes that discomfort so much less uncomfortable, if that makes sense. And again, I would not be who I am today had I not learned to thrive in the discomfort. Challenge myself on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Things were changing for me so much quicker than I could have realized. Okay, next lesson or tip is taking care of your physical appearance. This year, I have really put so much time into myself, into my physical appearance, and I feel like for a while in my life, I kind of lost that, or I deprioritized it, and I didn't even think that it mattered. Honestly, I just wanted to focus fully inward on my mental health, on my spiritual growth, and that's all that felt important to me once upon a time. And I removed physical appearance from that healing. It didn't matter. I didn't really put time into myself. I didn't care. I just wanted to feel good on the inside. I just wanted to feel peace. And honestly, I think personally, I kind of had to go through that growth because I was exiting a period of my life where I cared so much about my physical appearance, but in a negative, toxic way. I didn't feel good on the inside. I told myself I was doing it for me, but I really wasn't. I was really in such a low place, and I put so much time into my physical appearance. It was all that mattered in a point in my life. And so I really think I had to fully let go of that and just focus inward for a little bit. But this year, I started putting time into my physical appearance, taking care of myself, taking care of my skin, taking care of my hair, putting on a nice outfit every single day, doing a little bit of makeup, doing my hair, getting ready, and, developing all of these beauty rituals to enhance the way that I look, getting facials, all of these things. And it wasn't vanity. It never felt the way it felt in the past. It wasn't for other people. It really just started to feel like self-devotion, self-respect, just really embodying how I felt on the inside and just showing that outwards and taking care of myself like I'm someone worth showing up for, someone worth tending to. It has not only just become a way that I show love to myself, but I started showing up differently in my life, in my day-to-day, at work, on my calls, in my home, in my relationship. Putting that time into myself actually changed how I was showing up and acting. It shifted my energy. It shifted the way I entered a room. And honestly, it does shift how people see you, how people perceive you. Think about a person who, takes care of themselves, who looks good, who looks healthy, who has clear skin, who puts time into their looks. That to me, in this healed version of myself, that to me, when I see someone like that, when I see a woman or a man, obviously also that just is a good person, has good energy, whatever, but someone who puts time into themselves and has that discipline and, cares for themselves, that tells me that they respect themselves. I don't even need to know them. Just looking at them, I know that they have certain standards. They respect themselves. They show up for themselves. It is so much harder to, take advantage of someone like that or try to show up into their lives with anything less, lower standards or lower respect for them. I think because of the toxic past that I had with physical appearance and how I looked, I never really saw it for what it can be, what it truly means to me, which is just taking care of yourself, taking care of your one body, showing up with respect for yourself, tending to yourself. It not only allowed me to develop all of these self-care routines that really are just like self-love practices at this point that I just love to do. I love feeling cared for from myself. It not only deepened that relationship I have with myself, but allowed me to show up differently in my life, in my work, allowed people to perceive me differently, to really just perceive me for who I am. I was letting my energy shine. I was letting the self-respect, the self-devotion, the embodiment show through my physical appearance. And again, you want to do this for you. You want it to feel good. It's all about the intention. Because again, there was a time in my life when physical appearance, like how I looked, was the only thing that mattered, the only thing I put time into. But it was such a toxic way of doing it. It was never for me. I never felt enough. I actually never even felt beautiful. I just was trying to constantly get any kind of outside validation I can get. And that energy stunk. Like people felt that for sure. It definitely relates a lot back to energy. How you enter a room, how people perceive you, a lot of it is energy, okay? So that is definitely a big part of it. But again, I spent kind of the past, few years not really dedicating that much time to my physical appearance, not really seeing the value in that and what I would gain from it, how I would show up differently in my day-to-day. Dress for the job you want. Like I see myself as this confident, smart, beautiful woman. Like let me show up as her. Let me look like her. Let me smell like her. All of the things. Like let me just be the full embodiment of who I think I am, who I know I am. Because especially with working from home, it's easy not to, right? It's easy to have a greasy bun for 3 days and just wear sweatpants and do nothing and just focus on other things, focus outwards and not really put that attention and time back into yourself. It's easy and, it doesn't mean you don't love yourself, but the shift in energy, like who you get to just be every single day, taking care of yourself. Like when I really started healing my skin, healing my hair and seeing the results, like seeing my skin be acne free, working on my health and fitness, watching my body transform, watching the way clothes fit me better, just everything about it, like glowing from the inside out, being able to experience that and be that is going to shift the way you show up. Looking put together, feeling put together really does shift your energy. And, wanting to be the person that you see in your mind, wanting to like really show up and like be her, it's not something that you're waiting for. I think that's something I was doing as well, was just like working on building the like mindsets around that and the visualizations and just like really wanting to like, I had her in my head. I still felt like there was things I was working through, whatever, but it's like I had this vision and I was almost waiting to accomplish this, waiting to do that before I could be her. But it's something you just step into it. You just are her. You just walk like her, sound like her, dress like her, talk like her, show up, like just do it now. You know what I mean? And so that's where I saw the disconnect, was not taking care of myself, not really showing up. But if you ask me who I am and, how I show up in my day-to-day, it's as someone who loves, respects themselves, takes care of themselves, puts time into themselves, has all these beauty rituals and self-love rituals, like everything that I do now, the way that I show up now, like it's actively stepping into it. You're not waiting for this, and this to become that. Starting now. And honestly, taking care of your physical appearance is a huge way to just anchor you into that reality. Okay, tip or lesson number 4 is training your discipline muscle. I think we all know by now that discipline trumps motivation. Motivation's unreliable, right? Like think about the times you're so motivated, you like write down all these goals or what your day is going to be like tomorrow, and you're so excited, you're so motivated. And then the alarm goes off and that motivation's gone, right? It's like, where'd you go? You were here last night. Where are you? But that's motivation. It comes and goes. And if you want to transform your life, have consistent habits, be a different person, show up differently, reach your goals, you're going to have discipline. And one thing I started doing this past year that was really like such a mindset shift that saved me, that is the reason I have the discipline that I have now, is on the days where I lacked motivation, which I would say definitely still happens half of the time, right? Half the time you're very motivated and half the time you're not, and you just got to do it anyways. So on the days that I wasn't motivated and, I still wanted to work towards my goals, still wanted to show up as the person I wanted to be, still wanted to do my workouts and eat clean, etc., etc. In that moment, we'll take working out for an example. I wasn't working out to reach my goals. I wasn't working out to have a fit body. I wasn't working out to be healthy. In that moment where I really lacked motivation, I was going to work out for one reason only, and that was to train my discipline muscle. That's the only reason you're working out in this moment. If you want to experience transformation, if you want to be a different person this year, you're going to need discipline. And if you are someone who, plans and you have all these ideas, all these things you want to do, but you lack follow through or you give up easily, all that tells me is you have a weak discipline muscle. That's all that's telling me. You don't not want it. You obviously want it, right? And it's funny how even when that motivation is gone and you don't have the discipline, how you'll even convince yourself that maybe I don't want this. It's crazy. It's a lie. It's so not true. You just don't want to do the work. You don't want to tap into that discipline. You don't think that you have discipline. Maybe you don't. I had to swallow that pill last year, 2025. I had a very weak discipline muscle. I lacked discipline. It wasn't that I couldn't work on it, like the excuses of, oh, I'm just not a disciplined person. No, you just have weak discipline right now. It's like having small muscles. You can go get big muscles. You just gotta take the steps. You gotta work on it. You gotta go to the gym. You gotta eat protein. Like it's, there's steps to it. So you're not a disciplined person. Your discipline's weak. So tying back all of your goals to training your discipline muscle, again, this was mind-blowing to me. Like this absolutely changed my life this year, especially with fitness, with my diet, because I feel like with all of the goals I have, with all the things I want to do, that for whatever reason was something that I could just put on the back burner, that I would, prioritize other things, that even if I had the time, even if I had nothing to do that day, like I would sometimes lack the discipline. And so whenever I just wanted to fall off my diet, not do my workouts, like just honestly do a bunch of things that were gonna make me feel bad at the end of the day, anytime those thoughts came up and, the motivation isn't there, so I can't sit there and be like, oh, like, but I want to be healthy, I want to look this way, like it didn't matter, it doesn't matter in those moments. You're not motivated, you're like, I couldn't care less about the reason why I'm working towards this goal. I don't even care about that goal right now, which is just crazy how your brain self-sabotages. But again, in those moments, it's like, but I know forever, for the rest of my life, I want to have a strong discipline muscle. I want to have discipline. So maybe in this moment of low motivation, I don't care about this goal, I don't care about that, but I'm going to go and do that thing anyways because I need to train my discipline muscle. And through this shift and doing the things that I needed to do anyways, training my discipline muscle, being consistent, and then seeing results made having discipline so much easier because it just unlocks that new world for you. When you want to go from point A to point B, when you have this goal and you need to be consistent to get there, right? You need to consistently post on social media if you want to build an audience. You need to consistently show up at work, share your ideas, step up if you want to get a promotion. You need to consistently eat good, go to the gym, work out if you want to be healthy and have a toned body. Like, you need to do these things over a long period of time. Once you lock down consistency through forced discipline, through training the discipline muscle, and you start to see results, the relationship you have with discipline changes. It feels so much softer over time. Like over time, putting time into my social media, taking time to film, edit, to plan, even when I didn't feel motivated, like the discipline that would go behind that allowed me to be consistent and see the results that I have been seeing. Now, when I don't feel motivated, I know I have discipline on my side. I'm not relying on motivation anymore because I know through results, again, your brain's always looking for like the truth, right? Like facts, like where can I find the truth? If I can't find the truth, it doesn't exist. So I now have the truth that consistency in my personal brand, consistency in my fitness routine and my health, consistency in my job, consistency in X, Y, and Z has brought me the results. I have proof. Now that my brain has proof, my relationship with discipline is softer, is kinder. It's another level of self-devotion. Like, I am just being disciplined today for tomorrow me. Tomorrow me is being disciplined for the day after me. Like, I am just constantly looking out for myself in a way that feels like it's worth my time, because again, I've seen the results through consistency, through forced discipline, which is now very soft and healthy self-devotion discipline. But in the beginning, if you can't follow through, if you give up easily, you're not lazy, you don't not want it enough, you don't not deserve it, like anything that you can make up in your mind is not true. You just have a weak discipline muscle. That's all it is. You have this muscle and it's weak and you need to work it out. And the only way you work it out is through being consistent. So again, tie it back to all of your goals. Like today, you're not going to the gym for a fit body. You're just training your discipline muscle. You're, not putting in extra hours here because of the promotion that you want that in this moment you couldn't give a fuck about because you're not motivated. No, in this moment, you're doing that to train your discipline muscle. In how many aspects in your life right now can you start training your discipline muscle? Building that consistency, getting the results, having the confidence that comes from those results, and then bringing that back to looking at your discipline muscle and seeing how it's getting stronger, how things are getting easier, how through consistency you've learned more, you know more. It feels natural, it feels good, it doesn't feel forced. Because again, another hard truth is if you want to change, if you want a different life, if you want to, be the person you can be, if you have big goals and you have a weak discipline muscle, it's going to be a constant loop of wanting and wishing and never following through. It could go for years if you want it to. If you want to be stuck in that loop for the rest of your life, it's up to you. If not, which I'm assuming not, let's go back to step one, acknowledge. Acknowledge that you have a weak discipline muscle. And that is all it is. You don't not have less motivation than other people. Everyone loses motivation, like all the time. You're not lazy. You're not less than. You don't not deserve it. You simply have a weak discipline muscle. And you're going to start to train it like any other muscle. And for any other muscle to grow, you need to train it consistently. And tip number 5, which plays into everything we just talked about, but I also feel like it's just such a good way to end this episode, is retraining your narrative. This past year, a lot changed in my life, like I talked about. I changed countries, careers, so many just daily habits, the person that I am, friendships, so many things. By going through a lot of changes, I was noticing how my inner narrative, my inner thoughts were changing, and maybe just due to, again, a lot of change happening all at once, my life being flipped upside down, I started to lose sight a little bit of the thoughts that I was having, the narratives that I had about life and about certain situations and whatever. I again reached a point during this year where it just felt like enough's enough, because I was able to wake up to the fact that certain narratives that I had about certain things happening in my life were changing the way my life looked and felt, and I knew that that was all starting from within. The exact same thing could happen to two people, like let's say a breakup, and depending on those two people's takeaway, the narrative, what they tell themselves, can cause them to have completely different outlooks, completely different lives. You literally become the story that you tell yourself. If you keep telling yourself that you're behind, that you're broken, that you're not enough, or of course this happened to me, or this is happening because XYZ, you're right. You're always gonna be right. Whatever narrative you have, whatever story you have about life, however you see yourself, others, the world around you, you're right. You're always gonna be right. So if your narrative is negative, you are going to experience a negative life. You're always going to be right. And I know how it feels to be in the depths of a negative mindset, just thinking negatively, seeing life negatively, feeling, run down by life, by situations, by things happening to you. I know life is hard, but at the end of the day, you are and life is what you say it is. Always. We give our brains a lot of credit when I think we shouldn't. And I mean this in, the best way, just trying to keep it in simple terms, but your brain is kind of stupid. Like, our brains are kind of stupid in the sense that things can feel so real to you in your head. The story that you're telling yourself, it feels so real. And that's how life is because of X, Y, and Z, and because this, and I see that, and this is happening. It's the story you're telling yourself. And so your brain is finding that. It's like when you get a new car and you see that car everywhere and you're like, did everyone just start buying this car? No, that car was always there. You just now have it, so you notice it. Your brain it's an animal brain. At the end of the day, it is looking for the truth. It is looking for what you tell it, and it'll find that. And it'll even make it up if it has to. You could have the most beautiful, abundant life, and you could be so fucking negative. You could be so scared, and you can be in such, like a negative headspace because you'll find all the tiny, minuscule negative things around you. Like, your brain, again, is just trying to prove itself right, trying to prove you right. It's trying to be a brain. It's like, oh, I'm a brain, and I'm supposed to know things. So if I know that life is like this, I better find that or I'm wrong. So you are always going to be right about the way that you look at yourself, that you look at life, the narrative that you tell yourself. You're always going to be right. How is your current narrative about life, about things that happen to you? What are those things currently? Going back to step 1, acknowledging those things, acknowledging the ways that you are allowing life to continuously be because you keep on telling it the same story. How is that limiting you? Looking at the life that you want to have, the feelings you want to feel, just the experiences, like the life is out there, or that you think is out there, or maybe you haven't even considered it, right? Like, I remember being so sad, so depressed that I actually forgot. I was so locked into the spiral of what I thought life was because of X, Y, and Z that I forgot that anything else could exist. And I also know that going from that to a life of greatness and abundance and love and holy fucking shit, I can't believe I'm alive right now, feeling like going from A to B feels like you're lying to yourself. And if you think about it and you understand the brain, and you understand the brain is always trying to prove itself right, you're gonna see how that is kind of lying to yourself for a little bit. Like, coming out of the depths of my depression, I had to convince myself that life was good, right? When it didn't feel that way. I had to convince myself that good things could happen. I had to just try to find some good. And through finding some good and having that proof through time, it was able to find more good and more good. And now being the place that I have, the brain that I have, the narrative that I tell myself, what life means to me, because it's whatever you want. You are your reality, because again, someone with way less than you is much happier than you. And someone with way more than you is so insanely unhappy. It's like there's nothing good in the world, right? So it's all perspective. It's all the narrative that you tell yourself. It's the script. It's the book that you give your brain about what life is going to be to you. And so one huge narrative shift that I had made in 2025 that changed my life, changed the way that I show up, specifically in like my career and myself and my endeavors and like the things that I want to do, has been reframing my narrative around failure. I used to take failure very hard. I used to take like putting time into something or working really hard and then like having something fail, or like whatever failure meant to me, to you, like, just I in the moment felt that something failed or I failed or whatever. I used to look at that with such defeat, and the narrative, oh my God, the narrative that I would tell myself I wasn't good enough, that, this is actually bound to fail. I should have known it was gonna fail. I remember like just setting myself up for failure so many times in my life because of the narrative that I had around failing and, what that meant to me, to how other people perceived me, whatever. In 2025, I definitely stepped into the highest level of my career that I've been in my entire life. And through stepping into a leadership role, I had to fail so many times. And I realized pretty quickly, if I kept this same narrative that I have around failure, I'm not going to make it. And also, who am I to have the goals that I have and have this vision of the person that I want to be? I still had the awareness that that person is going to need to like fail and start over and fail and learn along the way to become that. It's almost like it just opened my eyes to the reality that I have manifested for myself. If I'm someone who has these goals and these dreams, and I know who I want to be, how I want to show up, the career I want to have, the woman I want to be, I need failure. To think that I could be where I wanted to be with the level of knowledge that I have now, or the level of knowledge that I had a year ago or a year before that, is so insane. And so through failure, through having to show up my best, or what I thought was my best, watching myself fail, watching myself have to climb back out, learn the lessons that I learned, integrate those, become better, show up better, feel like I'm coasting, taking on more, failing, taking those lessons, learning from them, being better, coasting, taking on more, failing. Like, I have just been on a straight up trajectory with failures. Like, failures are a part of my way up, and having that click allowed me to jump back so much quicker and also be grateful, like feel actual gratitude for my failures, for the lessons that I got to learn out of trying and failing and being able to try again, versus having so many years in my life where I thought failure really meant I shouldn't be doing that. I should change, or who did I think I was to even try that? That was so foolish. And it's just not true. Like, for specifically what I have created, manifested for myself in this life, the goals that I have, just everything that feels like me, the things that I want to do, I need failures. I think everyone does at the end of the day. I'm sure you listening, with the goals that you have, with the person you want to be, with the things you want to achieve, if you were that person with all that knowledge, with all those lessons, you'd be there. You're not there yet. There's things you need to learn, and you're not going to always learn through achievements, like you're going to learn a lot of your biggest, best lessons. It's probably going to make you deeper, smarter, more of an expert in what you're doing through failing. And, even just having the empathy of what that feels like and coming back and then being able to be that for other people and be an inspiration for other people. Failing is such a huge blessing. It's showing you what you're lacking. It's showing you, the lessons you needed to get to the next step. It's really just, it's hard to see it as anything different than achievements at this point. And again, that came from reframing my narrative around it and not being so discouraged and seeing it as part of the journey. I can't have this without this. Like, it is part of the journey that I have asked for. I take failures on the chin like they're nothing. Like, it's part of my life. It's part of the things that I want. It is just a natural thing that is going to happen. And it's not even just a thing that happens that sucks. It's a blessing, and it's giving me so much every single time. And looking back at all of my failures in 2025, I'm so grateful. And there isn't a single one of the failures that held me back. And 2025 was the first year that I can say that. There's been so many quote unquote failures that I've experienced in my life in the past that have completely stopped me for months. And just whole projects in general that will never be and never come because I allowed a new lesson coming in to derail me and demotivate me and let me fall victim to failures versus what they really are to me now, which is absolute blessings, lessons, everything that I asked for. So That is my biggest example, but changing your narrative about whatever it is in your life that is holding you back is going to change your life, because your brain is going to start looking at that differently, and it's going to start taking this new narrative as the truth. So if you have negative narratives about life, if you have negative inner thoughts about what certain things mean, but you also have ambitions and you want to do certain things, like, it's going to be really hard to notice the blessings, the right paths, the things to do, the everyday joy, if your narrative is against that. Because again, it's almost like your brain goes colorblind and it only views the color that you tell it. And so if you tell it red, 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 it's only going to look for red. And the second you start telling it blue, when you've been looking for blue this whole time, you'll start to see blue. And once your brain starts to see blue, then it'll start to look for more blue because it knows that blue exists. So that is everything. That is everything I have for today's episode. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit hungry. This ran over, so I am definitely excited to go make some dinner. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something. I hope it offered you some value, some actionable tips. And again, I know we covered a lot, and a lot of the things I talked about do kind of take that like sitting down inner work, homework, if you will. And so I knew after putting this episode together that I did want to offer that workbook that is going to include everything and more that I talked about today. So you can have that with you. You can have a digital version. You can print it out. You can just have it with you. You can write in it. It's all customizable and is something that you can come back to whenever you need throughout the year. So yeah, I will have that linked wherever. It's only $20. You can find it in any place that I can link it. So in the description of this video, on my Instagram, and maybe linked in this podcast episode if I figure out how to do that. But thank you so much for listening. I know this was a long one. I am really excited to be back and, creating podcasts for you guys. I have missed this so bad. Again, if you follow me elsewhere, I've had quite the year of changes and things happening, and so happy to be back in a balanced place where I can have the time to sit down and do this and kind of share everything that I've learned and integrated this past year, because it has been a big one and I'm so excited for 2026. I know it's going to be a huge year. I know you are going to have one of the best years of your life. I'm saying it now. It is the year of the horse. We are moving. We are strutting forward, and I'm so excited. But that is everything for today. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more. Follow me on Instagram for more daily updates. And I will see you in the next video, in the next podcast, or on Instagram. Love you.